What's up, my friends? Here are my hands. So, okay, really quick. I'm switching it up today because I haven't gotten a video out to you guys in a while, and on Sundays I do this like meditation group, and you know, I slept with a hair mask last night. So what I'm trying to tell y'all is like, I love you, but I don't think you're ready to see me with a Walmart bag wrapped around my head. So I like to do my readings first thing in the morning when I'm fresh. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. But I really wanted to get some readings out to you guys. I've been loving the energy we're creating on this channel, y'all. You guys are incredible. Thanks for being here. But yeah, without any more jibber jabber, you guys have 5 piles to choose from today in terms of what lesson have you mastered. This could be a lesson over, probably over a span of incarnations, not just this one. And whenever you guys are feeling ready, we're going to hop right into your readings. What's up, group number 1? Here's your reading for what lesson you have mastered or have reached mastery within other incarnations. And that mastery has just clearly carried over into this incarnation. So this most certainly has to do, pile number 1, with events that happen in your life that leave you feeling like, why did this happen? Or like, why was I this version of myself? Or why does this energy keep repeating, right? It seemed like this is honestly something that's extremely karmic with this Devil card and with this base chakra card. Honestly, this has to do with your sense of stability. This has to do with like, I feel like in a lot of senses, pal 1, this has to do with like how you handle yourself in situations where you feel like you showed your ass, or how you handle yourselves when you feel like for the life of you, you can't escape a certain addiction, or you can't escape a certain behavior, or you can't escape a certain pattern, or whatever it is. And, you know, I feel like it's something maybe in the beginning of your incarnation might have left, or even just like a few years ago, you know, like sometimes we can plow through these challenges and these karmic obstacles pretty quickly. Like between the time we've had our first awakening and by the time we've had like our 15th, you know, it's like these karmic knots just unravel themselves. They can pretty quickly. And it seems like for you guys, I mean, this is a type of mastery that I really like to see for the individuals drawn to my channel, because this just really shows that you guys are very intuitive in terms of the subtle realms and in terms of like natural yogis is what I'm getting, in natural mystics. So I feel like you guys want a true sense of freedom within this incarnation. So I'm seeing that like you guys are the type of beings that, my pal number 1, it's like just as long as you feel secure, just as long as you feel safe, just as long as you're like comfortable, I feel like that's your kind of sense of prosperity. But also I am getting that this might have to do with money. But for a majority of you guys, I feel like this more so has to do with like just self-image and how you feel like you show up in the world, and, you know, levels of confidence, levels of security, just feeling grounded in yourself. So I wouldn't be surprised if you've had like many situations, and this honestly could be in terms of finances too, where it's like, man, just the second that I feel like I'm getting on my game, the second I feel like I'm picking myself back up, the second I start to feel like I'm in my groove, like something comes along and fucking just wipes me out, and it leaves my pal number 1s in this state of like, why? Like, why does this happen? Like, why am I being punished? But what I'm hearing your higher self and your team behind the scenes say, pal number 1, is that this is what you wanted. Like, this is an essential part of your growth, an essential part of your soul's blueprint, because you're learning how to extricate yourself from, like, you're learning how to extricate your sense of identity from the comings and goings of what happens externally. You're learning to place your treasures up, not where moth and dust shall corrupt, but you're learning to place them more in relationships. You're learning to place it more in just like, your mental health is really important to you, and how you perceive situations is really important to you. And so it's almost like you've been put through this karmic ringer, I'm hearing, of feeling really bound to certain behaviors, maybe even bound to certain people, maybe even bound to just like, you know, when things start to get good, this could even tell me that when things start to get really good, it's almost like you're waiting for the next shoe to drop, right? And so I'm hearing that your guides are kind of pushing you to this point of frustration, to where, or maybe you've been pushed to this point of frustration, or maybe you're even getting there to where it's like, you've had enough of this. you've had enough of just like worrying what's going to catch up to you, or worrying what's going to, you know, happen, or like, I feel like maybe you, in some senses, pile number one, life has left you feeling bitter in terms of, you're like, I'm doing all the things. I'm doing all the motherfucking things. Like, why does it feel like the second I'm starting to get good, you know, my game is going well in terms of like how I'm navigating this game of life? Why does it feel like my consciousness, my spirit can't be at ease? Why am I like, does it feel like I'm worrying about this thing, or it's like there's a sense of unease or a sense of unrest? And I'm hearing that, you know, this karmic cycle continues to happen. It continues to happen, and it's happening not as punishment, my pile number one. And I feel like you guys are seeing that. You're starting to see the gift behind these occurrences. You're starting to see the grace behind suffering, because, you know, like Ram Dass says, what is suffering? Like, when you're on this path, when you're on the spiritual path, you learn that suffering is grace, because suffering ultimately shows you where you are attached. Right? And so I feel like you're starting to see your attachments. You're starting to see them for what they are. You're starting to see how they bind you, right? Expectations bind you. How you think your life should look and the timeline you think it should look that way binds you, right? And so I'm hearing that you have felt set back in your life maybe at some points, but now you've really been brought to this space, this lesson that you've mastered is you're like, okay, this is not on my timeline. Like, I'm just going to do my best to, you might be seeing 5 and 1 a lot, because I'm seeing 5 and 1 a lot here, but I feel like you're like, as long as I'm showing up, as long as I'm doing my best, like as long as I'm when I know better, I'm doing better, then I feel like pile number one, you're really learning how to just like go with the flow. And you see how this guy, he's kind of laid back. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of laid back, and it's almost like what's meant for you, you're just allowing yourself to attract that in its own time frame, right? And so you're not left in this space ultimately where you feel essentially like very bound to these things. Because I feel like maybe in the past there's been a lot of like, why did I have to go through this? Why do I continue to go through this? Why does this karmic tendency continue to follow me? Because for the most part, I do feel like you guys are pretty tuned in. For the most part, I feel like you're pretty solid in just yourself. I'm really getting old soul vibes from this pile, but you know, in order to catch us up to and just reactivate the wisdom that we've gained from all of these past incarnations, it's like sometimes, especially in the beginning, I am getting a lot of like beginning type of energies of like your beginning incarnation was kind of challenging and might had disrupted your nervous system, and just, you know, caused a lot of insecurities to be born in you, like planted a lot of seeds of insecurity, right? That now you're finally uprooting. And, you know, I am hearing that you guys are just at a level of advancement where it's like all of these things, whether it's internal, I'm hearing it's internal and external. Like it's an internal state. It's like the way that you're thinking, but then it's also like external circumstances, external situations. It's like not going exactly how you want them. Right? It's like never going just exactly how you pictured it going or how you desired it to go, or maybe getting one vibe on one level and then it turns out a different way, right? But it's like you're really here to extricate your sense of security from any of the comings and goings, and your guides and spirit just wants to keep you in this open space of just being receptive to whatever comes your way. Right? And just like watching the journey unfold and not being so worried, not being so caught up in your head, not being worried about when the karmic tendencies are going to unfold. Like this is such a beautiful, like this is such a signifier of mastery, because it's like when I have my highly advanced souls coming into this earth plane, it's like you guys are used to, or it's like you're so powerful, right? You're used to being able to think something or just like want something and desire it from these higher densities that you guys might be more accustomed to. You think it, you want it, and it's there. Like the timeline is very collapsed, and so that goes along with things about like, you know, energetics, internal energetics that don't quite necessarily fit into your soul's blueprint, right? And so I feel like on the earth plane, watching these karmic tendencies just kind of like with the base chakra and the devil, like kind of play themselves out over like a longer period of time than your smaller self, your limited self, right, might have desired. Pile number one just shows your level of mastery. And, you know, I feel like it's brought you into this state of just like, all right, I'm just going to be relaxed about it. I'm not going to make it mean anything more than what it is. Maybe in the past when something would go wrong, you would replay it in your mind over and over and over and over again, and be like, why the fuck did that have to go that way? Why am I not over this? Why am I like this? Right? Like so much judgment. But it's like you're learning to release yourself from it. And I feel like just as you grow in wisdom and the more people you meet, you're like, wow, okay, everyone's got their own fucking story, right? Everyone's got their own storyline going, and everyone's kind of working through these karmic inhibitions to the best of their ability. But I'm hearing that because you're approaching these with a lot less judgment, you're not creating more karma around it. And so they're kind of unfurling and unraveling quite beautifully for you. So ultimately, pile number one, I'm hearing your mastery has to do with, it really does have to do with like searching for the kingdom within and not placing your sense of identity so much in like your insecurities and so much in, you know, whatever setbacks appear in your physical reality or just like in your internal reality, right? I feel like this is a being, these are beings, this is a group that would really turn to like spiritual law, you know, that really maybe these karmic propensities too were here in the beginning in order to guide you into your spiritual path, because I am seeing this book here, right? You know, we have these things that happen that occur in our life that are very uncomfortable, that actually are great catalysts into our spirituality, great catalysts into our greatness. Like these really unfortunate things, especially in our early incarnations, like it sets a foundation, right? And that's what we knew from a higher level we were getting ourselves into. And so I'm hearing that it's like you've asked the right questions, pile number one, and it's led you into being someone that I feel like you're finally proud of. And if you're not in this space, like you're quickly approaching that, where like conflict and defeat, what? Like, you know, it's like, it's not even going to touch you. It just rolls off your shoulders, right? And I'm hearing that you will become a great teacher for other people in terms of that, right? A lot of people are going to learn from you. A lot of people are already learning from you, right? But, you know, this has guided you into self-mastery, right? And that's what I like to see for the people drawn to my channel. So I'm going to leave this reading here for now. If this resonated or you had synchronicities come up, please comment those down below. And I hope I see you guys soon. All right, pile two, welcome to your reading. I have not looked at your cards yet. I did pile one a little bit differently, but I feel like for whatever reason, I'm guided to flip these over together with you on camera. Let's see if I can just, okay. Don't be perfectionistic, Marissa. Okay, here we go. So what is it? We're going to start with this oracle card over here for what lesson it is that you've mastered within this incarnation. Yang energy. So it seems like you've really mastered your creative potential or your creative force. So I feel like you guys are, pile number two would be my go-getters. Pile number two would be like my entrepreneurs or people that just really like came in with a strong sense of purpose and are not going to sleep on that potential. You're not going to sleep on your purpose. I'm hearing for some of you that it's been frustrating, right? That sometimes in the past it's been really frustrating because you like, when you want something, you wanted it like yesterday. Like you wanted it before you even knew that you wanted it, right? And so I am getting like, maybe you have a lot of first house placements in general or like areas in your chart in significant places. It doesn't really matter. Essentially, I'm hearing that you guys are, my pile number two, like, your mastery is like knowing who you are. Your mastery is knowing why you came here, knowing what you want to create, knowing how you want to impact the world, even if that might change throughout your incarnation and as you just like grow wiser, you know, that how it looks might change, but your calling overall is something that doesn't change, right? So I am hearing that, yeah, I was definitely drawn to the stars here. So the stars might be significant to you, astrology, you know, understanding just yourself in general, or understanding your place in this world, or like if like, I feel like ultimately this is really just telling me that you just shine, right? Whatever you touch turns to gold. And I feel like I'm just getting this sense of like deep understanding of self and deep self-confidence. You might not have always felt like that, but again, this is like what you've mastered, right? And so mastery, in order to become a master at something, we tend to feel the opposite of those things at first, right? We got to start somewhere. It's like you don't reach a state of mastery without going through the bullshit, you know, so to speak. So ultimately, I am hearing that. I don't know if you guys can see this face, but there's like a really determined face here, or their eyes are shut and they just look very like, determined's not even the word. It's almost like this face is just kind of the face of someone that just knows. They just know what they got. They know who they are. They know what they want, and they go after it. They don't stress about it. So what is it that, yeah, I mean, you guys are, with this sun card, you guys shine so bright. I mean, you have really mastered the realms of what it means to be a light worker, right? And what it means to shine your light on this planet, and to, I'm just getting like a lot of warmth. I'm getting a lot of power from this pile. So, you know, we have some Leo energy coming through for sure. But ultimately, what I'm getting overall is just like the fire element is very strong. So you guys might have fire scattered throughout your chart in general, but these are beings that are very perceptive. The fire element is very perceptive. The fire element are natural teachers, right? Fire digests things. When you think of like the internal fire in Ayurveda, they teach us about the Agni, right? The Agni is the most important part of understanding Ayurveda, because you learn how to eat in order to cultivate that inner fire, because that's how you digest elements, right? That's how you digest and assimilate the nutrients that you're absorbing from the food that you're eating. And so I'm hearing that in life in general, you have really like mastered the art of being able to assimilate life events, and to whatever has happened, it's like you end up seeing the light side of it. This always reminds me of Taylor Swift, okay? I don't know. I always see Taylor Swift when I see this. Sorry, that was a random side note. But I feel like no matter what's occurred in your life, like honestly, a lot of the times the brightest people I know have been through the darkest shit. So that might have applied to you. Maybe you've really developed this kind of leadership quality about you, pile number 2, because you've had no choice, because you really had to grow up fast, is what I'm hearing for some of you, for a majority of you guys. Like you had a lot of catalysts in your early incarnation that kind of put you in this role of being like, okay, if I got to protect myself, or I got to be my own number one, right? I cannot rely on other people. I cannot rely on mortal man. So I need to go out and get my bag. Like I need to go out and make a name for myself or whatever. But there's a lot of power. There's a lot of leadership coming through here for sure. There's a lot of energy coming through of like a lot of people looking up to you. And so in terms of self-mastery, in terms of what lesson you've mastered within this incarnation, I feel like it's really getting comfortable being in the spotlight and having people like understanding that, you know, you came here to lead. You just have leadership in your codes, whether you like it or not. You know, sometimes, you know, speaking from experience, I've been put throughout my life, I've always been put in leadership roles. And in my earlier incarnations, up to like mid-20s even, I was really insecure. Like I had a lot of things happen that like drew my confidence out of me, or that's what it felt like. That really tested my confidence and really like messed with my solar plexus early in incarnation. So that took a lot of, I was always put in leadership roles. And so in a rapid amount of time, it's like I had to face those aspects of myself that didn't feel worthy of those roles, right? And so you guys might relate to that. Similarly, like whether you wanted the leadership role, it's like you were placed there because it's in your codes, it's in your field. And so that is actually what makes a really humble leader, and a leader that I want to work with, honestly, is someone that has been through that darkness and that you were humbled early on. So it's you know, it's that saying of like, don't forget where you came from. I feel like my pile number 2 does not forget where they came from, and you guys are very respectful. You're very humble. You're very generous, is what I'm hearing, with your gifts, with your light, with what you've learned up to this point in time. So, oh my God. Can we have anything else that says like fire sign? And did I not say Leo? So you guys might even have like something in your chart that has something significant about like healing. Like I have my Chiron in Leo, so that kind of like lays the map, at least in Western astrology. It kind of laid a blueprint, or kind of showed me and just validated this experience I had of like the uncomfortability of stepping into true power, right? The uncomfortability that came along with that. This is crazy. So you guys might just resonate with lions in general, or just like the feline aspect of you know, the animal kingdom in general. But ultimately, yeah, you guys, the lesson you've mastered is just like how to properly wield your power. And if anything, it's recognizing the amount of power that you have. Like you guys are extremely fucking powerful. I cannot say that anymore. Like how many, like, come on, spirit, give me something else to work with. Like, my pile number 2, you guys have an extremely powerful, like Kundalini energy. I feel like this is my group that, yeah, you bulldoze through, like you're very resilient. You bulldoze through your challenges. You bulldoze through your obstacles. I feel like whatever, I don't know. I just am getting the sense of just like the, you know, the rose that grew out of the cracks of the cement. So under circumstances that seemed like far beyond possible, far beyond probable, like where most people would give up, it's like my pile number 2s were pushing on. It's almost like I'm feeling this energy of you guys really thrive when shit hits the fan. Like you're like, all right, this is my time. This is where I thrive. It's like you were bred and you were born for this time on the planet. My pile number 2, you were bred and you are born to be a leader, especially at this time of immense chaos, immense confusion. Like, you are most certainly here to shine light and to be a guiding light for other people and a force to be reckoned with, right? And you have a very strong solar plexus. You really know who you are. You really know what you came to do. You really know who you came to be. And I feel like even in the beginning, even if you had certain karmic things that needed to run themselves out, I feel like ultimately you've always felt this purpose. Like, this is a pile that has felt their fucking purpose, okay? And is unafraid to, at least now, step into that and own that. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. So maybe, again, this kind of tells me it's been slow and steady, or there's a sense of patience about you. There's a sense of, I love with a buffalo, it always gives me this sense of, like, you know that you got it and you already know that it's inevitable. It's almost a sense of, like, you have so much power and potentiality that it was only a matter of time, right? You knew it was only a matter of time. People around you knew it was only a matter of time. I feel like even if people try to, like, take advantage of, like, or, like, you know, be like, take advantage of your potentiality in terms of being like, oh, like, you know, you're so great because I gave you this opportunity, or or whatever, right? I feel like this is a pile that people want to be like, I knew pile 2 when they were A, B, and C. I knew them at this point in time, and, like, kind of flexing on how they had some sort of impact, or how they've had some sort of like how they helped your growth in some sort of way, right? But I feel like ultimately it's like, whether or not those elements or those people were in your life, it's like this was inevitable for you, this amount of leadership, this amount of confidence. Yeah, Two of Pentacles, like someone that is really comfortable with their light and shadow aspect is what I'm hearing. And that's true power. Like, we have like split things here. So I'm seeing someone that's really in tune with the higher dimensions, right? Really in tune with just like spirituality, and just the long white hair reminds me of wisdom and an old soul, but someone who's also very instinctual, someone that's also is not going to write off or shame the fact that we are mammalians, we are mammals. That's part of like what makes this human experience relevant, is like, yes, we do share that with the animal kingdom. We do share like a higher wisdom, right, with our more celestial body, our soul body, but then we also share a more instinctual self, right? And so you're at ease with that. You're comfortable in your skin, man. This just shouts that you have come a long ways in terms of being so comfortable in your skin, so comfortable in who you are, light and dark. I feel like you don't hide from who you are. You don't hide who you've been. Again, that came through of like, pile number 2 does not forget where they came from, right? And so because of this, it kind of safeguards you in terms of not being like high and mighty, and not putting yourself on a pedestal, or not like truly like a humble leader. A true leader in this day and age is a humble leader, right? And so I feel like you're just like so comfortable in all aspects of yourself. And for some of you, it has been a long time coming. You know, I am seeing that it has been a long time coming, not just within this incarnation, but you have taken great leadership roles in other incarnations. And so that's why no matter what you've been through, no matter how much darkness and shame and insecurity you faced in the past, that's why it feels so natural for you. And that's why it was so easy for other people to identify that within you, because those codes are just so loud. It's like inevitable. You guys are meant to be leaders. You are meant to impact many, many people in really powerful ways, like ways not of just like, okay, I'm going to help you, like, you know, take your dog out, I'm going to watch your dog, or like, you know, I'm going to throw some money at you here when you're feeling, you know, that could be aspects of it, but this is like true level of depth of like, you came here to impact people's souls, like the true type of work that this planet needs, man. You guys are extremely powerful. I don't know how much else I could go on about that, but I mean, every card here, just like, you are so comfortable in who you are. You are extremely like, true confidence is not hiding any part of yourself. True confidence is like understanding, I'm going to feel insecure. True confidence is like owning this entire human experience for all that it is, and not making it mean anything more or less about the truth of who you are. Mad pile number 2, and you guys have definitely mastered that. You are, man, I want to know who chose this pile, okay, and what you guys are doing, because there's just like so much here that screams success. There's so much here that screams impact. There's so much here that screams true leadership. So thank you for tuning into my reading. Thank you for being here, tuning into my channel, and just for your service. Thank you so much, pile number 2. And if this resonated, please comment down below. Please like, subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. What's up, pal number 3? Welcome to your reading for what lesson you have mastered. This could be over the span of lifetimes, Probably it's something you've been working on in lifetimes, but it's something that you would most certainly feel like you've mastered within this incarnation. So we're going to start with this oracle, work our way this way. So what is it that pile number 3, please spirit, what lesson have they mastered this lifetime? Clean it up. Okay, so I feel like ultimately, honestly, the first thing that comes through is like, you guys have learned to become picky. You guys have learned how to protect your energy. You've learned what elements need to be priorities in your life, and you've learned how to prioritize your peace, is what I'm hearing. And this, honestly, in this day and age, this type of mastery is, this really signifies an advanced soul, right? It's someone that doesn't keep relationships in their life out of obligation. It's someone that knows when to walk away from circumstances. It's someone that really knows that, like, okay, I extracted the lesson from the situation, this circumstance, etc. I'm not going to keep myself in here longer than I need to, and, you know, potentially create more karma that doesn't need to be there. I feel like you guys are the type of beings, and even if you wouldn't say it in those words, just like your intuition is pretty spot on in terms of like, okay, I need on to the next thing. I feel like you are a man or a woman on a mission. My pile number 3. And it's really important that you, like, integrity to yourself, integrity to your mission is extremely important for my pile number 3s. So I feel like this has to do with externally making sure things are in check, externally making sure that, you know, your environment's right, your environment's conducive, a conducive space for peace, right? And prosperity, internal, like spiritual prosperity, right? And also making sure your internal space is that way as well. So I feel like these are beings that would really be drawn to like spiritual books or like some sort of text, right? Or some sort of talk. Like when you're feeling down, this is a group of like, okay, when I'm not feeling good within myself, like you guys would consciously go take a stay at like a beach for a weekend, or you guys would know what podcast to do. Like I'm definitely getting the sense of like when you're feeling like your perspective is starting to not support a healthy internal environment, and it's not supporting your peace, you know what to do to help bring you back into alignment, right? Because this is something that you've mastered. You learned how to like keep yourself in check and to keep your perception in check. I'm hearing too that it's like you understand the realms of perception. So you understand that if you're feeling bad about something, you know who to go to. For many of you, you might not even have many people in your immediate environment, like people you could actually call friends, right, that you go to, because this is a group where I'm feeling like you guys are the person giving advice, or you guys are the person helping other people clean their bullshit up, you know, peace and love. But ultimately, I am hearing with my pile number 3s, this is like, for the most part, in order to help cultivate your levels of perception, you have to go to teachers that, you know, are a little bit more expanded than you, and you don't know too many people in your immediate environment. So you're tuning into podcasts, you're tuning into like spiritual texts, you're tuning into just like maybe philosophers in general. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be spiritual per se, but teachers are just perception tweakers, right? They just help us anytime we're guided to like share our own internal wisdom, or to help other people have more fulfilling lives externally and internally. It all comes down to perception, right? And how we see the place that we're sitting in when we act. So I feel like you guys you might even be very well versed in like manifestation, like cleaning up your energy field, cleaning up your thoughts, cleaning up your belief system in general. So yeah, that's something I'm hearing that you definitely mastered. We have the Hierophant coming through with wisdom here. So yeah, I mean, what was I saying about the spiritual books? I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this, so I'm sorry if I go back and forth. But in terms of books, right, I feel like people look to you as well. Yeah, I'm really drawn to this dog and how the dog is staring at this man. I feel like you might have this effect on animals just because there's such a peaceful air about you, and animals are, you know, especially dogs are like vessels of unconditional love, and cats are like are guardians of the spiritual realms, right, and of like no negative juju. So I feel like animals just feel really safe around you, feel very comfortable around you. I mean, your wisdom screams like so loud. I was picking up on that from just the first card alone. You guys are teachers. You guys are natural teachers. Again, people come to you for advice. People look to you for advice. You have a really strong connection to the spiritual realms, which has to do, again, it's like cleaning up your own, like, smaller self, cleaning up your own misperceptions in order to be a more powerful conduit for source energy to come through and work through you. So I feel like this is a group too that would be very well versed in like visualization techniques, if not just meditation. You might really understand. Like meditation is not something we do just so we can like post a pic on our Instagram, right? This is people that like understand the science, like the actual science behind meditation, and like, okay, I need to like get out of my own way so I can allow the soul stream of God, of source energy, to come through and kind of purify me, right? Clean it up from the inside out, right? So these are beings that I feel like would be like, y'all need to meditate, right? It's like, I feel like for you, answers are so obvious, or they seem so obvious, right? Because you're a master. I mean, you are someone that has been a teacher, not just in this life, but in other lifetimes too. Even if you're not in a teaching role, just know you've been a teacher before. And it's very obvious. I feel like that's why people have always come to you for advice, my pal number 3. No matter how old you've been, it's like you're always the person, the listening ear, the shoulder to lean on, the person giving the advice. It's because you have, your auric field is so infused with the wisdom you've gained from incarnations, right? And so I feel like you're just like, dude, you could solve this so easily if you just sat down and stopped trying to figure it out. I feel like that's my pal number 3, is just like, why does no one get it, right? But not in a place of like feeling superior to anyone at all, but just kind of like, you know, we've all been there. We're all going to play that part. You've definitely played that part before, but I am just getting this sense of just like a playful, I feel very playful in the energy of pile 3. I feel very playful. And that's honestly part of like, there's a reason why in the Bible it says, ye shall not enter the kingdom unless you become like little children, right? It's like true wisdom is not taking life so seriously. It's like you start to learn this. It's almost like we have to break through that threshold. You've broken through that threshold of like when you first go through awakenings and you're taking everything way too fucking seriously, like what you eat, who you're around, like I can't let my energy get low, like can't have any type of negative thought, right? But I feel like you're approaching it now from a much more balanced perspective of like, if I'm not having fun, that's not it either. It's like a very delicate balance that you have mastered, my pal number 3. We have heartache and loss. So yeah, I mean, most certainly 3 could be a significant number. 1, 2, 3 could be a significant number for you guys. But I feel like you guys are a group that you kind of just understand. You understand the journey of life. You understand that heartache and loss, like you can't escape that from this incarnation. Maybe you have become so wise within your life because you've experienced a lot of heartache and loss, right? Generally what I know to be true for old souls is, and I don't think any of us are going to leave this earth unscathed. You know, like, don't get me wrong. None of us are going to leave unscathed. But I have met individuals that have spent, it's almost like in order to catch them up with the wisdom they've gained throughout all of these lifetimes, it's like they go through quite a bit of challenges in their early incarnations. I mean, look at like the people like Tony Robbins and the Oprah Winfrey's. Like, they went through a lot of fucking bullshit. And they're like some of the greatest teachers on our planet. And so I'm getting Tony Robbins and like Oprah Winfrey vibes from my pal number 3s. It's like you guys know how to like bring, like help people shift their perspective around these like events that happen, around the heartache and around the loss that happens in life. And you help them see how it was a significant player in order to catalyze them towards their growth and towards their spiritual expansion. I said this in another pile, forget which pile, but there's a reason why, like one of my favorite quotes that I just came across from Ram Dass, you know, I've always heard suffering is grace, and intuitively I've always said suffering is grace. I knew that, but he took it a level deeper. That saying went a level deeper for me when I saw a quote that said, suffering shows you where you're attached, right? Suffering shows you your attachments. And so that's why when you're on this type of path, suffering is grace. Because if you're attached, you are not free. And so my pile number 3, you are here to be free. You are here to experience internal liberation. And knowing that's like the ultimate trump, that's the ultimate law of attraction. That's the ultimate law of attraction technique, is internal freedom. Like really having internal freedom, really having like my sense of identity, my sense of prosperity, my sense of peace cannot be affected by anything that happens externally. Wait till you see what fucking comes to you then, right? Pile number 3, and this is beautiful. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I feel like spirit tells me or like has me do these types of readings because I never know what I'm going to get myself into, but it really just shows me the level of advancement of the beings that are drawn to my channel. And I'm like, I'm so grateful. I'm honored to read for you guys. So let's move it right along with this reading. We have the Page of Wands coming through. So yeah, there's like this feistiness behind you. I feel like this definitely shows a really good balance because, you know, sometimes I feel like we can get swept up in this idea of like spiritual people look a certain way, and I'm not getting that. For pile number 3, I feel like you really just own your uniqueness, right? It's like the more that you clean it up, clean up your misperceptions, it's like nothing is off game, right? Nothing is off the table in terms of what your expression is meant to be. And because of it, you feel even more able to like embody the fullness and the uniqueness of your expression, whatever it is. If it's dropping F-bombs, or if it's like being a mom, raising a family of 5 kids and your whole body's tattooed, you know, whatever it is. It's just like really honoring this incarnation for what it is. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, and you know, it doesn't go on. My guides have been saying to me the past 2 days, like, your life has an expiration date. This life has an expiration date. Like, we know we're all gonna die, but sometimes we can still live like beating around the bush of who we are for whatever reason, but forgetting it's like, oh my God, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is a real deal. And my pile number 3, you guys have mastered that. Or you're much so approaching the realms of having that be your mastery. But for many of you, I feel like this is a group that really knows who they are, really embraces who they are. Not to say you're not going to be affected by the state of the consciousness, right? We have 3D coming up here with a 3, we have 5D coming up here with a 5. So it's like really appreciating all the dimensions as they exist within, you know, at once, and not making that mean anything about you. 4 of Cups. I feel like too, this kind of tells me more about your relationship to negative situations, your relationship to things that don't go your way or don't go according to your plan, right? Your plan. I feel like, you know, the fire element is very perceptive. The fire element is able to digest experiences in life. Fire is also like the teachers, like fire teaches us a lot. And so what I'm hearing ultimately is that you are able to approach your setbacks, your letdowns, your heartaches, your loss. You have really utilized this, my pile number 3, in a way that has only made you even more badass. It's like, I feel like this is a pile of like, you fall down or something bad happens to you and people are like, oh my God, like how is this going to make pile 3 into even more of a badass? Because pile 3 has always been owning it. Pile 3 has always been on their game, right? Regardless of what you've felt internally, I feel like, man, you're just like, come at me, bro, in terms of life experiences. You're like, nothing can keep me down, because you know what it's about. You know it's a game of perception. You know it's a game of like releasing. It's a game of a detachment, which doesn't mean we're not engaging in our life. We're not hiding ourselves away in a cave, but it means like, whatever great things come my way, I'm not going to let it disturb my peace. Whatever unfortunate things come my way, I'm not going to let it disturb my peace. And so you're really in a place of like really learning how to master that, if not already reaching mastery. I feel like to a large extent, the scales have finally tipped to where you can say that, you know, masters continue going, they continue growing, they continue expanding. It doesn't mean they're never going to be met with a challenge that doesn't take them off their rocker. You know, that's not what it means. But it means that you've come to a place that it takes a lot to get you to that place. But when you are brought to that place, you're out of it very quickly. My pile number 3. So I'm going to leave this here for now. Beautiful energies. Thank you for being here. Any synchronicities, maybe comment those down below if it resonates. At least give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. Hey, pile 4. Welcome to your reading. Oh my goodness. I don't know why I do this. Okay, it's recording. I don't know why I checked my mic after I've hit the record button on my phone. But okay, what's going on here? All right, just making sure you can't see anything you don't need to be seen. Okay. I'm a mess. I'm in shorts. I'm still in my jammies, essentially. I did my meditation to really tune in this morning, because I got to tune in every day. But I got a bag on my head, you know, so we're just... blessings. It's a blessing and an honor to share the journey with you. Pile 4. Okay, so we're going to tune into what lesson you have mastered within this incarnation. It's probably something you've been working towards mastery throughout incarnations. We're going to start with this oracle. We're going to work our way across the board. I don't know why this is the order that I've been doing it, but we're going to continue on with this order. I need you to go lay down. I need you to lay your butt down so you don't click in my video. Greg, can you get Nero, please? Okay, so we're going to jump right into what is it that pile number 4, please spirit, has mastered within, what lesson have they mastered within this incarnation? Here and now. Okay. I just need to take a moment, because these piles, man, the beings that are drawn to my channel, like, that's why I'm like, it is quality. It is quality over quantity, because I just... man, the beings that are drawn here are just really extremely advanced souls that really know what's up with this life and what's important, man. So mastery. I feel like you guys are really learning, you know, how to be here now. What does it say here? You are here. It says you are here. So something that you guys have probably, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys like meditate, if you guys are mad meditators or contemplators or just like mystics. You guys might even be practicing yogis, right? These are beings that I feel like are really in alignment with yogic philosophy, if anything, which is all about, you know, just the power of presence. You know, Eckhart Tolle's of this world, the Ram Dass's of this world, the Yoganandas of this world, right? So you guys might even really be drawn to like Eastern teachings, Eastern culture. I love Matthias de Stefano from Gaia. He says how India is kind of like the intestinal tract, the digestive system of the world. So in terms of if you think like a human body organism, like the planet has that too. And he says how India essentially is like the intestinal tract. It removes the shit, right? It removes all of the shit that you don't want, and it kind of purifies you and leaves you with what you need, like the nutrients, right? And so I feel like my pile number 4, you guys are the beings that know how to extract the nutrients of life. I'm seeing someone like looking up at a tree and just like having a moment of just like the most pristine, awestruck type of feeling, like someone that looks at the ocean and just understands the smallness of life. Like you guys really get the big picture, my pile number 4. I'm hearing that it's probably because in the past you've gotten swept up in bullshit that really tethered you karmically, that tethered your soul, that made you feel weighed down, that made you lose your sense of like honest and innocence for life. But I'm hearing something that you've mastered. Like you can really say you're a master at this. It doesn't mean that masters don't continue to meet challenges. That's not how it is. Masters are always continuing to evolve, but I feel like the scales have tipped in terms of you understanding where you're placing your treasures. Right, you're really seeking the kingdom within, right? You're really about, your internal treasures. You're about making conscious contact with the God within, the internal self, the inner self. You know, knowing that being here and now doesn't mean that you're not realistic, right? It's just like understanding that the more here and the more now you are, the more you're going to attract, the more you're going to be able to recognize, like in certain teachers, like Florence Scovel Shinn, like she would call it never missing a trick. Like when you're here now, you don't miss a trick. So and another way of saying that is you don't miss a divine appointment, a divine assignment, because you're too caught up in the past or you're too caught up in the future. You're so present. You're like, okay, this doesn't seem like much on the surface, but for whatever reason, I feel like I'm guided to this thing, this person right now, this conversation, this new way to work, whatever it is. Right? And because of that, you don't miss a trick because you're so in tune with the here and now, the 0 point field where you truly can, the only place you can actually access a true God experience, right? Excuse me, is when you're fully present. So I'm hearing because of that, it's like you are just like, you're really in your feminine power, my pile number 4. This is incredible. So I'm going to continue going through because I already ate 5 minutes into that one card. Rejoice in celebration. I feel like just life in general, no matter what you're doing, if you're in your kitchen cleaning up dishes or whatever, I feel like I'm seeing someone having dance parties. I'm seeing someone that just really celebrates their life and isn't worried about how glamorous it looks. It isn't worried about getting somewhere or proving yourself. It's just really rejoicing in celebration for the here and now and what life has already given to you to this point in time. I'm feeling mad gratitude vibes from this pile, and that is definitely in this day and age, especially if you're over here in the States or, you know, if you're just in modern culture. It's such like a what is it? Gratification, like instant gratification society that I feel like you guys are just like at peace with the natural timing of things. Like there's a sense of really understanding nature here. Yeah, memories of love. Ooh, I love all this green that's coming through. So mad heart chakra vibes. Like your guys' heart is wide open. I feel like you guys have made a lot of memories with people. I feel like in terms of what lesson you're learning to master or something, I'm sorry, this is what you've already mastered. So I feel like this is so I'm going to give an example of my own life. Like when Maya was first born, my daughter, I remember standing in the living room, or there were moments where I just like would hold her and I would like bring all of my energy. Like I would not think about anything else but in that moment holding her little body, because I knew in just a week it was going to be different. She was going to be bigger. She was going to be further along in her development. So it's moments like that where I feel like you guys really know true memories. You guys are really out here creating true memories. You're really present in conversations with people. You're really like, I'm getting this lighthearted energy. Like I almost want to cry. I feel like this is probably what people feel around you is like, oh my, pile number 4 is a gift from God. Pile number 4 is heaven sent. because you guys just really just bring the fullness of who you are to the table. And I feel like you have so much love to give to people. I feel like you guys are really on your forgiveness game. You guys understand what's important in life. And because of it, you make space to truly make the most authentic memories. And there's so much more to come, pile number 4. I just know that you're going to have so many other opportunities to really meet people that are on your level and meet people to celebrate in life with and to create these beautiful memories with. And people that are just like in the here and now with you, that you guys are just like kids, right? Just I'm seeing like people like dancing around a fire and just like laughing and crying and just celebrating, rejoicing. And you know, it doesn't matter what's happening outside. Like if you can do that in the most harsh of times in your life, like really thrive during adversity, or really just be like, okay, you know, this is what's happening now in my here and now. So how am I guided to like deal with this? Like you understand even that is making memories, right? Whatever turmoil you go through with other people too. So man, I just feel so like my heart is open. Like you guys are such heart-centered beings, just divine beacons of divine love, unconditional love. The Fool, yeah, that really does sum up what I'm feeling right now. Like anything is possible. I feel like because you're so here now, you're more likely to take opportunities again that most people would overpass or overlook because they were too caught up in their head. They were too caught up in, okay, well, this is how it panned out. This is how things like this have panned out in the past. Or like, I'm afraid of what's going to happen in the future. You're like, no, the energy is here, so I'm going to go towards it. But there's also this sense of like, yeah, the heart has to do with the emotional guidance system. So being able to ground heaven on earth, you are heaven on earth. So I'm really hearing and deeply feeling that you guys have really created your own bubble reality. Like regardless of what the fuck's happening on the planet, you guys are in celebration. Like I feel like when the world was in lockdown, you guys were in your kitchen having dance parties, or you guys were just like the beings that were shining so much light, and you guys were like, okay, this is just going to be a really awesome memory that we have on earth, or an awesome memory that our family has of like, God, remember when the planet, when everyone bought fucking toilet paper thinking it was going to save their lives? Like I feel like that's, you guys see the glass half full always. You've had no choice, or like you just, not that you've had no choice, but you're like, why would I live any other way? Right? There's just this very carefree, there's a wisdom behind your innocence and a wisdom behind your childlike nature, right? That's why seek ye first, or unless ye be like little children, you cannot enter the kingdom. I feel like you've really tuned into that inner child. And, you know, children are the gateways into God, man. Like, if you have a child, you know, like, they show you what it means to be here and now. They show you what it means to be free, right? True freedom. Last but not least, we have the 5 of Wands. So I feel like because this doesn't really fit with the other energy that we have going on here, the 5 of Wands, how it's traditionally read, I'm going to read this a little bit more intuitively. I feel like your battles are fought for you. I feel like because you are more in tune with the divine mind and higher mind, it's like, you know, it's so true that 3D laws operate much differently when you're more in tune with the fifth dimensional things. When you're going straight to source itself, right? It's like you're playing with the fabric that makes up, you're going straight to the source. It's like pulling back the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. And so I feel like it feels like your battles are almost fought for you. Like you barely have to lift a finger, or like the second that turmoil or adversity starts to even like burrow its head up out of whatever, you know, soil, it's like, it seems like it's gone extremely quickly, like quicker than, you know, I really am getting a strong indication here that your battles feel like they're fought for you, or they're not long standing. They don't stand a chance. It's almost like I see my pile number 4 is way up here, and it's like where everyone else is having turmoil amongst themselves. It's like you're just sitting on your throne. You're just sitting on your throne of the here and now. It's like I see this little egg being on the top of this thing, right? This tower. And it's just like you're just kind of watching the play. It's like that inner witness, right? You're seated in the center of the inner witness. The person or the place where you understand that this is a personality. You understand that this life has a time limit, right? That this, you know, and some yogis would often say that we come in with a certain amount of breaths. And so we need to be present, and we need to make sure that we're breathing slowly so we can really use up our breaths sparingly, right? And so I feel like that's kind of where you guys are sitting at. It's like, maybe you've gotten lost in it in the past, lost in the bullshit in the past, but that's what makes them masters. You're like, okay, I would, instead of being this energy, I know I have a choice. I can choose to meet life with this, regardless of whether it's good, bad, wanted, unwanted, desired, undesired. I can meet it from this energy, or I can meet it from this energy. And this is like, this truly shows your level of mastery, you guys. I mean, man, powerful people. You're really in tune. Your heart is so open, right? And keep hearing heaven on earth, and I keep hearing that you are like literally grounding extremely powerful light codes. So regardless of what you do, I'm hearing that whatever you do, however you are, wherever you go, you ground light codes. Like you are a vessel for higher density, higher information, right? Divine mind to ground more onto the earth plane when she needs it the most, right? So yeah, I mean, you leave awake. People remember you wherever you go. I mean, you are just like, there's so much potency behind you. There's so much love. Like there is so much love. You have so much love to give. I wouldn't even be surprised if you're like, okay, I'm learning how to navigate the fact that I feel like I'm in love with everyone, because you've tapped into more of, you know, that Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature. And most people are just like used to people having like ulterior motives, right? But you are just like, just far beyond a lot, man. Thank you so much for being here, pile number 4. I'm going to leave this reading here for now. Any synchronicities, comment them down below. Like this video, subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon. All right, pile number 5. So I want to say at first I had only drawn for 4 piles, and then Spirit's like, no, we said 5. Because at first I was like, all right, I'm going to do 4. And Spirit's like, Marissa, we said 5. So I'm really excited to see what's coming up in pile number 5, because it was really clear that I was to draw more cards, one more pile, for what it is, what lesson that you've mastered within this incarnation. And this is something that you've been probably working on throughout a span of incarnations, right? So we're going to get right into it. We're starting with this oracle. We're going to work our way through the tarot oracle and then the tarot. So what is it that pile number 5, please, Spirit, what lesson have they mastered in this incarnation? Exchanging gifts. Okay, so I feel like you guys, this is honestly you guys learning to trust your gifts. You guys learning how to cultivate your gifts. I'm hearing also that this is like, I just heard the phrase, not throwing your pearls in front of swine. So understanding that just because some people aren't able to recognize your gifts for what they are, doesn't mean that you don't have them. And that I feel like you are really learning how to master the fact that, like, I'm seeing the card from the Rebecca Campbell Starseed Oracle deck. I'm seeing that you are not for everyone, right? So I'm hearing overall pile number 5, this is a group that is really understanding and really has understood that you're not here for everyone. And that, it, you know, what's that phrase of like, I'd rather be hated for who I am than liked for who I am not, right? So like, I always feel like whenever we're going around putting on a front, putting on a show, like not like contorting ourselves so we can be the person for other people that we think that they want. It's like wearing a really tight itchy wool sweater. Like, ooh, I'm such a sensory type of person that itchy wool sweater is like the best. I think my daughter just came out, but that's the best metaphor that I could come up with for just like a representation of what we do to our energy field, so to speak. All right, we are back, pile 4 or pile 5. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so I was also hearing something that Jay Shetty said. So this is a quote. This is a quote that someone quoted from someone else quoting. A quote someone else quoted, someone else quoting. So he would say that, you know, most people live their life through the lens of, I'm not who I think I am, and I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think that I am. So like living through all of these prisms of who we think we are based off of who we think other people think we are, right? So many filters of assumptions that most of the time are completely inaccurate. So I feel like you guys are really, pile number 5, what you have mastered is understanding that, you know, you are very unique, right? And understanding that the people that need your gifts and want your gifts will be drawn to you, and that you help other people embrace their gifts, the more that you unashamedly do the same as well. With this exchanging of gifts too, it might even be like you guys are learning how to, you know, monetize your gifts in some way, or in some sort of way having it be what supports you, like financially and holistically. So new beginnings. So I feel like this is saying what it is that you have mastered in this incarnation. Pile number 5 is, I feel like you guys are people that are really like breaking karmic generational patterns in terms of what you think is possible for this life. I feel like maybe majority of you guys come from backgrounds where you know, going to college was really important and going to school was really important, public education, that type of thing. And I feel like this is you stepping into a whole new world, a whole new realm, right? And I'm hearing a lot about Dharma, right? You're really serious about your Dharma, and you really understand, you deeply feel that your gifts what you come in with, your natural talents, whether it's psychic abilities or dancers or artists or whatever. It's like, I feel like deep down you have this, like, you want to leap in that direction, right? And I feel like you've maybe even seen time and time again. I was just talking to a friend, I was coaching a friend through this yesterday, of what it means to, like, at first when you're hearing these teachings and hearing this way of living as possible, you're not going to believe it. You don't believe it until you take those chances. And so pile number 5, I feel like you guys have taken chances towards your dreams that have worked out in your benefit. And you guys are at this place where you understand it's like the risks that you take are just going to get bigger and bigger, because you see how time and time again it's only ever worked out for you, right? And that is a true master, is someone who's mastered their faith muscle, right? So I'm hearing that you one of your gifts is just this. It's being able to tune into the divine mind, to trust the divine mind enough to go in the direction of your inspiration, and seeing how that works out for you. But I am hearing that it has not always felt easy, right? And that for a lot of you, you guys come from, maybe there's a few of you that did grow up in environments that were who really cultivated your creativity. But for many of you, you come from backgrounds where you were like you're breaking the pattern of like a lifetime that you don't like, right? Trading your life essentially just to survive, right? My pile number 5s know there's a different way of doing it. And so you're doing that. You're leaning into that. Whether, some of you guys could even work like full-time jobs doing something just to get by, but you're really focusing on something that is much more holistically sustaining of your spirit, your life force, right? So yeah, that's something that I feel like you've mastered the fact, or the idea you've mastered, at the very least, you've mastered the understanding that it is possible, and that you can do it, and that you've done it before in small ways. And so those ways, Spirit doesn't see big and small. Spirit just sees, is this person expanding or are they contracting? And so I feel like my pile number 5s, regardless of how uncomfortable it has gotten, you've chosen expansion as much as you can. Trapped in fear. So I feel like in terms of what you've mastered, I feel like you have mastered my pile number 5, what fear really is. I feel like you guys really understand the mechanism of fear is just here to protect you. It's just your ego being like, okay, we want you to survive. We want things to be okay, right? And I feel like you've really mastered, and you understand what fear is, right? There's certain entities, like Bashar says how fear is simply excitement filtered through a lack belief, right? Coming from someone who has worked a lot on their nervous system and understanding nervous system and the subtle body and healing that, excitement and fear are processed physiologically the same. So it really all comes down to, okay, how are you going to reframe this in your mind? Are you going to reframe this in a way that is more exciting, telling a more exciting story? Or are you going to frame this in a way that tells a story of fear, or that reinforces generational fear, right? Because I'm hearing a lot of the fear that you experience isn't even necessarily your own, right? A lot of it is just like this karmic shit that you came to help clear through your family lineage and on Earth in general. Again, because there's a lot here about you guys really being tuned into what you came here to help change on the planet in general, really in tune with your dharma. This is a pile that is really, I feel like, has deep integrity to what you're here for, and understanding that, like, it is your mission to figure out how to create a reality for yourself to where your gifts are sustaining you. And so where you're opening doors and showing other people that it's also possible, and how to master fear, right, has really been a huge teacher in your life. And I feel like you guys have really, not to say you're not going to experience it, but you are the master of it. Fear is not your master. You are the master of what that is trying to tell you, right? So with the Fool, we have the 8 of Wands, so very quick moving energy. So the fire element has been coming through many of these piles, and I'm not surprised. Fire is very perceptive. Fire burns through the bullshit, right? Fire is the ultimate creator. Fire, what does it do? It helps illuminate darkness. And I feel like the more that because we have 2 8s coming through, and this is talking about new beginnings and exchanging gifts, I feel like this is really saying the more that you like disregard, like honoring whatever karmic propensities exist within your karmic field, right? So you're not going to like quit your job if your paradigm really doesn't support that, right? But when you get to that time and place to where you feel like the scales have finally tipped and you can take that leap, I feel like Spirit just has shown you time and time again that, like, it's almost like that phrase, ye will be restored the years that the locusts have eaten. It's almost like you guys go through these immense leaps. Every time you leap, it's like you leap into, like, not just like the next paradigm, but the paradigm 3 down, or 3 more paradigms, like far surpassed where you would have been if you would have let fear get the best of you. I feel like you guys, too, my pile number 5, I'm hearing that you guys really don't see, and you really haven't been able to acknowledge how far it is that you've actually come and how removed you actually are from the matrix, right? You really have created your own bubble reality in terms of what's possible. And because you know this is possible, you are on that timeline, right? Because you're working towards it, you are literally on that timeline. It's inevitable. Pile number 5, and I feel like you're learning to master that. You're learning to master what this illusion is, right? Learning to see illusion for what it is, right? It's just a mirage. It seems real, you know, but the closer you get, the more you see that, you know, nothing's there. There's nothing there. And last but not least, we have the Hermit. Yeah, I'm truly not surprised here. So I feel like what you've mastered, honestly, the Hermit is a being that, you know, like fear and suffering generally leads us here, right? Fear and suffering generally leads us to understanding, with the yin and the yang being the centerpiece of this candle. It really forces you or invites you into the space of understanding the dualistic nature of life. It helps you to see the totality of why we have moments of this, and why shadow and darkness and fear and insecurity is actually part of what makes the whole, right? And so I feel like a big part of what you mastered is like understanding that this is going to exist as long as you exist on this planet, and as long as you are taking leaps and making bounds. And I'm also seeing 9 coming here up, 9, 9, and 8, 8, and then 0. So those might be significant numbers for you. But I mean, this is essentially saying as long as you are expanding, you're going to feel that fear. And that's part of this human experience, right? It's like growing pains. It's like when you're working to grow your muscles, or when you're just using your muscles, right? In general, when you go on runs, it's like you're going to feel that discomfort. You're going to feel that sensation of getting stronger, right? And so this is essentially what's happening. I feel like what you've learned to master too within this incarnation, my pile number 5, is you've learned how to turn within when this gets overwhelming. Right? And that's a true master, someone that turns within and doesn't try to like go out and fix it externally. And because you turn within to get right and to understand what this is here to tell you about yourself, what this is here to just like essentially what you're, you know, understanding the, again, karmic propensities behind it, understanding the soul's blueprint, understanding, you know, what's in your astrological chart, like this is someone that really knows like where their weaknesses are and why they are there, where they come from, where they're born from. And even if you don't, you still don't allow fear to be your master, right? And that is an extremely powerful entity, right? We have the 9 and we have the 0. So we have like the ultimate, like I'm just seeing someone that really just does plow through karma, plows through cycles very quickly, because you do turn to that inner source. You do turn to your inner self. That is like ultimate self-mastery, someone that goes within to figure out where their next step is, right? To figure out what they're going to do next, to figure out, to receive that divine insight for how you're going to tweak your business, how you're going to tweak, right? This is like something that's not laid out. When you're on the road less traveled, it's a path that's not laid out for you. It's not something that's set in stone. You don't have an IRA. You don't have like, there's not the same sense of like false security that most people get from being plugged into the matrix, right? But you're good with that, right? And I feel like too, you're seeing, right? You see the more that you do this, the more that you go in, the quicker things move for you, and the more new beginnings holistically come. Like the more like you're building your tribe, you're building the, you know, it's just like this doesn't even stand a chance anymore. Doesn't mean you're not going to feel this, doesn't mean you're not going to have catalysts that, you know, kind of, again, suffering is grace, because it shows us where we're still attached. That fear shows you where you're still attached to an idea that you could get something wrong, or that you're not doing something right, or that spirit wouldn't ultimately take care of you. And you're really in this place of understanding that as long as I'm doing my best to show up for what I feel like I'm deeply here to do, as long as I'm doing my best, and when I know better, I'm doing better, I'm utilizing that wisdom, I'm growing, I'm moving in the direction that spirit is guiding me towards, like things are going to be good. It's all going to work out, right? It's like you're going to burn through the bullshit really quickly. I am seeing, because these are 2 8s, there's a deep link between the trapped in fear and the burning through the fear, right? And it's because you have really learned how to turn to yourself. You've really learned how to turn to that God within, your inner self. So pile number 5, this is beautiful. You are on your dharmic path. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. If this resonated, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment any synchronicities down below. Subscribe if you've been here before, and I hope I see you soon.